redefining yourself is not just who you are, but it's also the beliefs that you inhibit. What's good, everybody? It's your girl AmandaSpeaks, and I'm coming back to you with another video. What's good, Mandy Squad? So first of all, if you're new to my channel and you haven't heard about AmandaSpeaks, you haven't heard about Mandy Squad. Duh. I know where you've been at, I know what's going on, but we're so happy that you made it to this channel, you made it to this video. And if you want to be a part of this amazing family, all you gotta do is hit that subscribe button right there, hit the bell button beside it so you won't miss any further videos, and you'll get all our notifications. And without further ado, let's hop into this video. Today, guys, we're going to be talking about redefining ourselves. And a lot of times we get so caught up in this one definition of who we're supposed to be, especially in our adulthood or even in our teens. We are so caught up in trying to figure out, okay, who am I? Who do they say that I am? What are the things that I need to do? Who am I supposed to be like? You know, how am I supposed to act? What are the things that I'm supposed to do? And stuff like that. And we can get so caught up in just fitting into a mold that society has told us we have to be. And even our family or friends, or even us, we put so much pressure on ourselves sometimes to be something that we're not. And we get just so caught up into this cycle of we have to do the thing right. We have to get this perfect. And nothing is perfect. We're not perfect human beings. We're not perfect individuals. What we should strive for is progression, not perfection. So today we're going to be talking about redefining ourselves. And I just want to start off by saying redefining yourself is a process. It's not something that happens overnight. It's not something that you just do in a week and you're a new person. You're just this new individual, everything is sorted out and you're good. Redefining yourself is a process. It has stages, and if you don't go through the necessary stages and you try to skip ahead, you'll miss something very important. And the truth is that you'll just fall back to step one. That's just the truth. So that's the first thing I want to knock out of the way. It is not something that is done overnight. It is not something that is accomplished only by doing one thing. You have to do a series of things, a series of internal, external, environmental, social work before you can see you have redefined yourself. See, because we're such a generation, we're such individuals of this microwave mentality and this instantaneous gratification, we feel as though if we don't get it now, it's either not for us, or we can't do it, or it's just not in our capacity to accomplish. And the truth is, things take time. The truth is there are processes that we have to go through as individuals, both, you know, as individuals and collectively as groups, as organizations, as friends, as family. There are processes that we have to go through to become a better version of ourselves. And we can get so misled, and we can misunderstand that going through a process is not to take away from us, but sometimes we have to go through processes to test our consistency, to test our patience, to test how bad we want it, our determination. Because a lot of times what happens is that we expect that we will learn something like that, we will get it like that on the first try. And while that happens for some persons, it does not happen for a lot of us. While some persons may get it overnight, just like that, it doesn't happen for a lot of us. And when it comes to redefining yourself, these are processes you have to go through over time. This is not just, okay, I'm going to go through this process this week, and then by next week I have another process and I'm good. No, this can take years. This can take weeks, this can take months. It doesn't matter. It is customizable to where you're supposed to be going or where you want to go with your life. And we have to understand that so that we don't get discouraged when things don't happen in our timeline. That we don't get disheartened by the fact that not everybody is seeing our picture or vision or definition of ourselves. We can't get disheartened by that, because not everybody has our vision, not everybody has our mind or thoughts or perspective, and not everybody will agree with it. And sometimes we have to go against timelines. We have to go against when persons have said that this needs to happen in our life. Because if it's just not your time, it's just not your time, and it doesn't make sense you try to force it to be your time and then end up in some sort of disaster. Eventually, to define something means to give it meaning. And for all my scholars out there and those who really want an official meaning, according to the Oxford Library Studies, or States, that is, to define something is a statement of exact meaning of a word, especially in a dictionary. And for something to be exact, that means there must be clarity. So you have to understand what it really means. What is its function? Why is it the way it is? Why it is the way it is? There has to be clarity. So I say that to say the same goes for redefining yourself. And it's one of the two things. When you're redefining yourself, it's either that you're reiterating the original definition or you're giving it another meaning. And what has happened to a lot of us is that we have been so used to the definition that we were given from we're growing up, wherever it stemmed from, wherever the root is from, we are so used to that definition that we don't think we need to redefine ourselves. But the truth is that some of us, some names and some meanings have been attached to our names and to our identity and personality that does not belong there, and we need to divorce it because we are succumbing to those meanings, and it's not like us. We are not those meanings that were ascribed to us. We are far more than that. And if we don't realize that we need to redefine ourselves, even if it is you redefining what your personality is like, you're redefining whether or not you're an introvert or an extrovert, whether you're redefining even your career choices or who you want to be, the things you desire in life, you're redefining what family means for you, what marriage means for you, what dating means for you. Redefining yourself is not just who you are, but it's also the beliefs that you inhibit. It is what makes up who you are. Not just saying, okay, my name is this and this is how I am. It's not just that. Redefining yourself means redefining your perspectives, your beliefs, your entire being. Redefining who you are. And some of us need to do that process because we have been just taking and sucking in things that people have been throwing at us and projecting on us, and that's not who we are. That is not who we are. So you have to get that clarity from the beginning. What is it that I want to do? Because a lot of us claim that we are redefining ourselves. We are, becoming this better us, this better version, and that girl or that guy, and we're becoming that person. But the truth is we're not. We're enhancing the original definition that was given to us. We may put on a different face, we may pretty it up a little bit more, but we have not redefined ourselves. Because if we look into ourselves and look into the actions that we do, we are just enhancing what we were taught. We're not changing things. To redefine means to change the meaning. So you have to get clarity from there. You have to know whether it is that I'm going to just be, reiterating the definition that was given to me and that I've been telling myself for years. If you've been telling yourself that you had a dunce spot, you had a black sheep, you had the dumbest of the family, you can just never get this thing right. You can never be that person. The things we say to ourselves continue to define us. If you continue to tell yourself that you are this boisterous girl and you're just lower that's your tan, you are enhancing what you have been feeding yourself for a long time. It might not necessarily be who you are. But if you're telling yourself, if you were like that, and now you're telling yourself that I am going to be a calm person, I'm going to behave rationally, I'm going to be more emotionally intelligent, I am not lazy, I was just having an off day, I am not stupid, I just needed to do more research, I am beautiful. You start talking to yourself differently because you realize that the redefinition requires that. But we're gonna jump into that later on. Now, as we mentioned before, in redefining yourself, it's literally reestablishing who you are and what you're about. Who you say you are, what's your interests, and stuff like that. What are you about? Who are you? What are the things that can describe you? Now, as we mentioned before, that it is not your responsibility to get everybody on board with your redefinition. It's not. And the truth is that not everybody will be on board. You will disappoint some persons. And some persons are going to look at you like, what are you doing? They won't see the bigger picture. Some persons wanted to live their lives vicariously through you because they either never got to be that person, or they want to fit you into a mold that they think you should be in. Now, in redefining yourself, it's not your responsibility to get everybody to agree with you. It's not your responsibility to get everybody to agree with the definition you're now giving yourself, with the person you're now becoming. It's not your job to make everybody believe you, and that's okay. Because what is your responsibility is to hold that standard. What is your responsibility is to be consistent with that redefinition. If you say this is who you are, this is what you stand for, then stick to it. Don't let it just be a phase. Let it be your lifestyle. If you want to become the best you, if you want to be a different person from how your family was before, who they were, who they are, and how they operate, if you want to be something totally different from that, and you want to be better, you want to have a better life, you want to have peace, you want to have clarity on your career, on your decisions, on your faith, whatever it is, if you want to really redefine yourself and really tell yourself that I'm not where I'm coming from and I'm not what you told me I am, because I realize that there's some friction, there's some tension with what you said and how I am and how I operate. So all your family members were aggressive, them very irritable, them cuss out anybody, but you realize that you are very calm. You don't like conflict. You may not even like confrontation, but you'll deal with it. But you don't like conflict. You don't like anybody in your business like that. It's okay to say that you're that. You don't have to try to be like them because they're your family, because they're your friends. You don't have to subscribe to their definition of you don't have to subscribe to their definition of who a teen should be, who a woman should be. And we're just gonna go general route. If you're a female, you can't cook, you don't have any interest to cook, you prefer to just not do kitchen work, but they're telling you that that's what you need to do, you're a woman, you need to do this, you need to learn blah, blah, blah. But if you realize there's nothing there, you have no desire to do it, you don't like it, that's okay. You are, even if you try it and you realize you can't do it, like you cannot do it, you were just not made to be in the kitchen, you prefer to clean, you prefer, that's okay. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. And if you're a male and you realize, say, I like cosmetics, I like doing makeup, nothing wrong with you, nothing wrong with you, you're fine. It's part of your redefinition. It's just that we have different interests, but that doesn't make me any different. You don't need to mold me into something because I seem different and you're scared. Because a lot of times when people want to mold, it's because they're scared. It's because they have an idea of who they want you to be, and if you're not that, they're like, we did something wrong. That's not it. This is just my opinion. I think a lot of times what happens is that parents and adults, I think they should channel a child's personality and characteristics of that child instead of trying to control it and, punish it. All right, let me explain. If you realize that your child is outspoken, I was a very outspoken child when I was young, based on stories I've been told, that I was outspoken, I'd always want to talk, and I wasn't talking foolishness. But what happened is that if you're not careful, a lot of persons may take your outspokenness to be disrespect, and you don't know your place as a picnic. Not necessarily. Instead of you trying to shut down the child and shut down, because even in teen years, instead of you trying to shut down the person and telling them, say them rude, them disrespectful, them no manners, them no place, picnic must, remain picnic, no jumping at adult things. Listen to what they're saying and also channel it, guide it. Let them know that there's a time and place for everything. and certain things shouldn't be said at certain times. Learn to read the room, learn to understand non-verbals, you know, break it down to them. If it's a child, take your time and break it down to them and say, you really shouldn't do this XYZ. You really shouldn't do this XYZ. Maybe not no, da 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 da. Learn to explain. And you don't even have to be a parent, just adults in general. And people, especially us becoming adults, we need to learn this as well because we're coming from it. Learn to explain, to listen, and to channel things. Because what might happen is that you're shutting the person up, not knowing that you're probably traumatizing them, and then it feels as though they have to make a complete shift in their personality because they feel as though they're not supposed to be like this, so something's wrong with them. And how they're behaving right now is not right, it's not the way that they're supposed to be, so something's wrong with them and they need to change that. No, you might be doing more damage to the person than you think. Now, in the redefinition process, it's nothing to be ashamed about. It really is nothing to be ashamed about. Some people may make it out to be that, you know, because they're acquainted with the old you, they're acquainted with how you were and how you used to act. And we find this a lot, especially in Christendom, in the sense where you get baptized, you're a Christian now, and some things you cut off, some things you don't want to do. It might not just be like that. You might gradually start to withdraw from certain things, and persons might say to you, oh, you've changed. I mean, duh. But that's not the point. Some person may say to you, oh, you've changed, or oh, you did this, or you feel like you're bigger now, we know, or like, we see this as a common trend when persons make, I don't want to say drastic, but I'll say drastic. They make drastic decisions and they decide to change their life or change certain things about them, even if it's not really regarding faith. If somebody decides to switch their career, somebody decides to switch or just stop doing something, they stop going to parties, they stop smoking, they stop drinking, they stop gossiping, they stop saying certain things over their lives, they stop participating in certain things. We find that when persons make drastic changes, those who were used to the old you, they were used to you doing all of these things, it feels weird. And it feels as though there's no this distance that they're not used to and they don't know how to react to it. But that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Understand that some persons have to love you from a distance, and that's their choice to make. In the sense where you'll realize that your group is changing. You realize that they don't have an interest to move with you, to change with you. Not necessarily doing exactly that you're doing, but you realize that they have no interest in shifting how they operate, even if it is that they want to still be friends with you, but they have no interest in changing or adjusting their behavior. They seem as though they don't have any regards to your change. What happened is that they have already made the conscious or even unconscious for some of them, but they have made the decision to love you from a distance. They still want the best for you, they want you to prosper in life and stuff, but they just can't go with you, and that's okay. You know, we always mention that having friends and persons in your life for a season, for a reason, or for a lifetime. And again, maybe that's just a season, that's just a reason. You know, some persons are just there for a stage, and once you evolve from that stage, either they're going to evolve with you or you're going to leave them behind. Not necessarily that they left you because, you know, them backbite you or them betray you. Not all those toxic things. Some persons genuinely just don't grow with you, and that's okay. Some persons don't have the capacity to grow with you either. They don't have the capacity to love you at that stage or to grow with you, or they don't have it in them. And that's a whole other topic that we're gonna talk about sooner or later. But they just don't have it. They don't have the capacity, and that's okay. That's okay, because sometimes we need to understand that we can't force persons to have or to do things for us that they don't know how to. We need to understand that we can't pressure somebody and we can't force somebody to do things that they never saw happen in their lives. They have no idea how it goes. They don't know how to even begin. And some persons are just unwilling to learn. We can't force persons to be who they are not. And we can't force them to do the things that we want them to do if they don't know how, or they just don't, again, have the capacity to do it. They're not at that mental stage, they're not at that psychological stage, that emotional stage to give us what we need. And sometimes we just have to push through and move on from that. And that's why when persons choose to stay at the level that they are, don't try to push them. Don't try to get behind them and push them to the stage that you're going to because you want them to be there. Because the truth is, guys, some of the person that we want to come with us in our evolution and in our leveling up, because they're so dear to us, we don't want to leave them behind because we also want the best for them, and we see that what's up ahead is better. But the truth is, if they choose to stay at that level, do not push them. Do not go behind them and start pushing them to the level you want them to be at, because the truth is, if you push them there, you're also going to have to carry their dead weight, because they didn't ask to be here. They didn't ask to be here. They never started the work to get there. They were not ready for it. And what's going to happen is that you're going to have to carry their dead weight, and you're going to have to acknowledge but also accept their resentment that they're going to have for you at some point, because they will flat out tell you, I never asked to be here. I never asked to come to this level. I never asked to evolve. I was okay with where I was. This was never on my timing. I was not prepared for this in any way, shape, or form. And you're going to have to deal with that. So as I mentioned before, these are just two things I want to reiterate in redefining yourself. In redefining yourself, you have to get clarity and a vision. You have to see yourself further. You have to see yourself being a better version, because if you can't see yourself there, you have nothing to work towards. No, you can solicit advice and also opinions from like close people to you, people who know you, like know you, because they can see what you can't see. The second thing I want to mention in the redefining process is you get a new language. As previously mentioned, you start talking to yourself different, because you're going to be different. You're heading towards a different you, so you have to start treating yourself different. You have to start talking to yourself different. Because if you don't develop a new language for yourself, you'll realize that even though you feel as though you're evolving, maybe physically, so you're getting a promotion, you're working harder, but you still have those emotional and psychological beliefs about yourself that are still untrue. So you have to start talking to yourself different, so that you can reach that full potential. You can reach that best version you have in mind. Because how you talk to yourself matters. How you address yourself matters. How you handle yourself matters. Who you allow to speak to you in a certain way or and about certain things matters. Who you allow in your circle matters. So don't be ashamed. Don't be ashamed that you've decided to switch it up. You've decided to be more intentional with your interactions, with your decisions, and with your time. I think a lot of us, especially as adults, we are young adults too, we are becoming more cognizant and understanding of time, in the sense where I make time. I don't necessarily always have time, especially if we are people who are busy and we have things to do, whether it's school, work, entrepreneurship, whatever it is. We are becoming more understanding of time. And not because, especially on WhatsApp, not because you see me online means that I'm online. Okay, but the truth is that people will still make time for what they deem important. At the end of the day, you have to come to the realization that it's either you define yourself or you allow other people to define you. And remember, just wanting to reiterate this, it is not an overnight thing, it is a process. So don't be ashamed or don't feel guilty or feel bad for the fact that you're redefining yourself 2-3 times. You're constantly growing and you're constantly adding things to yourself. You can't expect that, oh, how I was 2 years ago, that's how I'm going to be. No. You are constantly redefining yourself. You're constantly learning more about yourself, learning about your environment, and learning about things that you aspire to be. So don't feel ashamed that you've been doing this over and over. It's a process, and you learn more each day. So guys, this is all I have for today's video, and I really hope that you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something new. I hope you could resonate with it. If you could, comment down below what was your takeaway from today's video. Comment below what was your highlight of this video, and if you did like it, ensure to give it a like. Hit that like button, it does a lot for me and it helps to spread my videos to those who really need to see it. And with that said, and on that note, share with a friend, share with a fan, because we're all about growing, keeping it hot, humble, open and transparent, and just living our best lives, growing and glowing. And my outro is never the same, anytime. But guys, until next time, peace.